Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev. Nittai Gaura Hariva, Gaura Hariva, Nittai Gaura Hariva, Nittai Gaura Hariva. Jai Jai Shri Caitanya, Jai Nityananda, Jai Advaita Chandra, Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jai Jai Shri Caitanya, Jai Nityananda, Jai Advaita Chandra, Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jai Jai Shri Caitanya, Jai Nityananda, Jai Advaita Chandra, Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, good morning everybody. So we're continuing with Caitanya-Caritāmṛta, Madhya-lilā, chapter 14, verses 134 through to 139. Do you want me to recite 134 or 139? 139. We normally recite the verse that, yeah, so if we can go to 139, we'll recite it and then we'll go backwards and read 134 to 139. May I please ask for the blessings of His Grace Janani Vasprabhu. Hare Krishna. I feel completely unqualified saying anything in front of you, but if I can please have your blessings. Okay. Ino nija sampati sabha prakata kariya. Priyera uparayaya sanya sajana. Ino nija sampati sabha prakata kariya. Priyera uparayaya sanya sajana. Ino nija sampati sabha prakata kariya. Priyera uparayaya sanya sajana. Ina nija sampati sabha prakata sariya. Priyera uparayaya sanya sajana. Ina nija sampati sabha prakata kariya. Priyera uparayaya sanya sajaya. Ina nija sampati sabha prakata kariya. Priyera uparayaya sanya sajana. Ladies? Ina nija sampati sabha prakata kariya. Priyera uparayaya sanya sajana. Ina nija sampati sabha prakata kariya. Priyera uparayaya sanya sajana. Ina nija sampati sabha prakata kariya. Priyera uparayaya sanya sajana. So, thank you. Thank you. You know this? Nija sampati, her opulence, sabha, all, prakata, kariya, manifesting, priyera upara, against her beloved husband, yaya, goes, senya sajana, accompanied by soldiers. Translation: but in the case of the goddess of fortune, I see a different kind of pride. She manifests her own opulences and even goes with her soldiers to attack her husband. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. After seeing the impudence of the goddess of fortune, Sarup Damodar Goswami wanted to inform Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu about the super excellence of the gopis' loving affairs. He therefore said, "My Lord, I never experienced anything like the behavior of the goddess of fortune. We sometimes see a beloved wife becoming proud of her position and then frustrated due to some neglect. She then gives up caring for her appearance, accepts dirty clothes, and morosely sits on the floor and draws lines with her nails. We have heard of such egoistic pride in Satyabham and the gopis of Vrindavan, but what we have seen in the goddess of fortune here at Jagannath Puri is completely different. She becomes very angry with her husband and attacks him with her great opulence." So we'll do Mangalarchanam and then we'll go back and read all the verses. Om Gyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yata Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagna Ragnatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padhan Sahagna Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubheva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we'll go back and just go back to verse 134 to the translations. When the servants fall down before the lotus feet of the goddess of fortune, they almost fall unconscious. They are chastised and made the butt of jokes and loose language. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associates saw such impudence exhibited by the maidservants of the goddess of fortune, they covered their faces with their hands and began to smile. Sarup Damodar said, "There is no egoistic pride like this within the three worlds. At least I have neither seen nor heard of it. When a woman is neglected and disappointed, out of egoistic pride she gives up her ornaments and morosely sits down on the floor, marking lines on it with her nails. I have heard of this kind of pride in Satyabham, Krishna's proudest queen, and I have also heard of it in the gopis of Vrindavan, who are the reservoirs of all transcendental mellows. But in the case of the goddess of fortune, I see a different kind of pride. She manifests her own opulences and even goes with her soldiers to attack her husband." I'm just going to repeat the purport because it's so short. After seeing the impudence of the goddess of fortune, Sarup Damodar Goswami wanted to inform Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu about the super excellence of the gopis' loving affairs. He therefore said, "My lord, I never experienced anything like the behavior of the goddess of fortune. We sometimes see a beloved wife becoming proud of her position and then frustrated due to some neglect. She then gives up caring for her appearance, accepts dirty clothes, and morosely sits on the floor and draws lines with her nails. We have heard of such egoistic pride in Satyabham and the gopis of Vrindavan, but what we see in the goddess of fortune here at Jagannath Puri is completely different. She becomes very angry with her husband and attacks him with her great opulence." Srila Prabhupada ki jai. As we progress through the Bhakti texts, we hear more, we practice more. We come to a clearer understanding that actually everything is spiritual. There's no such thing as material. It is simply a matter of vision. And this holds true to our human experience and our divine experience, because our vision is what informs our experience. How we see things informs how we experience something, as well as then the outcome. Because if how we see or the perspective we take on something informs our experience of it, that experience will change our determination, it will change our intention. And as our intention changes, so does the outcome. But it takes time to change our vision back to its original state. When we talk about the transcendental vision, we're talking about original. Transcendental makes it sound very high, beyond, lofty, something that's whoa, and it is, it's out of this world, it's amazing. Everything we read about, we are part of and have been part of, we've just forgotten. But to go back to that original state, it's our natural state, it takes time. And it takes time because we have had a misconstrued vision, a blurred vision for a long time. It's like putting on a pair of glasses after not being able to see. For a long time it hurts. Sometimes it hurts. Yes, I got my prescription changed recently and they gave me a new pair of glasses. I have to say it took me a good month. Every day I was thinking, should I go back, tell them they got my prescription wrong? Because they were so sharp. I was like, okay, this is actually hurting my eyes. Everything is so clear. So this matter of vision is what really changes this division that we have. And Prabhupada speaks about this as well, that ultimately, nothing is material. And I want to read something to you right at the end, where he makes this very clear on how, by changing our vision, we can see Krishna in everything. So what we're hearing about in this verse, or in this collection of verses, but this verse in particular, is the difference between transcendental pride and egotistical pride. And this particular verse, Swarup Damodar is beginning to, in his dialogue with Lord Chaitanya, uncover the layers of transcendental pride, or original pride. So, we have our experience, our human experience of pride, which is referred to as egotistical pride. And then this transcendental pride is pure pride, okay? Pure pride. Whereas the egotistical pride, one could see that as contaminated pride, confused pride, perverted pride, or false pride. It's often referred to as false pride. Why confused or perverted? None of us like to be called perverted. It has very heavy connotations. We don't even like to hear that this world is a perverted reflection of, the spiritual world. It kind of makes you clench, doesn't it, when you hear the word perverted? But what does perverted tell us? That something is twisted. It's not, you're not seeing it as it is, right? Confused. As well, confused pride. Why? Because this experience of pride, when our vision is seeing a distinction between material and spiritual, when we don't connect it all to the origin or the original person, then it's like looking through either a broken lens or a perverted lens or a confused lens. Or even, have you ever been to a house of mirrors? You go to a house of mirrors in the fun fair, and it makes you look longer, thinner, bent out of shape. We laugh about it. But when our vision is misconstrued in this world, we rarely laugh about it. We're usually upset about it. So in this verse, it's, there are layers, even to transcendental pride, even to pure pride. But it's this egotistical, contaminated, confused, or perverted pride that is damaging to us. And why is it confused? Because at the root of any vision is our identity. Shri Gokulananda ki jai, Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai, Gauranta ki jai. Our vision begins with our sense of identity. Who am I? As long as we are misplacing our identity as solely in the transient changes that this body goes through, the transient changes that our psychology goes through, that our social roles and responsibilities, even our services go through, then all of the things that we experience in their pure state, which normally give us joy and give Krishna joy and therefore bring joy to the relationship, they start to cause us pain. I mean, if we look at the 6 enemies of the mind, lust, anger, greed, envy, madness, illusion, throw in fear in there, pride, all of these 6 enemies of the mind, they're not a problem in themselves. The problem is how we view them, and so how we experience them. And therefore they have different outcomes. And this is what this verse is trying to highlight, that which me is my pride connected to? And depending on which me my pride is connected to, I'm going to have different outcomes. So let's first look at, let's unpack pride. Let's look at human pride before we even try to touch or understand pure or transcendental pride. So what is pride? What would you define pride as? I can give you a dictionary definition if you want. But let's hear from you. What is pride? We've all felt it. So what is it? I'm somebody. Okay, it's a sense of identity. Okay. Sense of achievement, so an identity rooted in sense of achievement. Yes, it's not low self-esteem. It's kind of like, yeah, when you're saying I'm somebody, it's like I'm defined by what I've achieved. Yes. Yes, don't you know who I am? How dare you? Yeah, okay, so there's a sense of even maybe arrogance, okay? Judgment of others. Okay, so so our own self-importance may bring judging others. One's self-conception is higher than the reality of who you are. Now we could get into a real argument about that because our real self is much higher than who we think we are, right? But I get what you mean. There may be an overinflated sense of self, yes? Sense of possessions, yes, our identity might be in our sense of possessions. So pride, according to the dictionary, is defined as it's a noun, and it's a feeling of deep pleasure or satisfaction derived from one's own achievements, the achievements of those with one whom is closely associated, or from qualities or possessions that are widely admired. Also, it gives us a definition of consciousness of one's own dignity. So that's a noun, and this is fairly accurate, right? When we become proud, it is either because of our own achievements or pride by association. This is why we all ask each other, what's your celebrity moment, what's your celebrity claim to fame, or even sometimes when we want to associate with devotees, we have to ask ourselves, do I genuinely want their association, or is it more about announcing, look how important I am because I have this amazing special association? Pride can come from our qualities or even possessions that we have which we are cognizant are widely admired. And then there's also consciousness of one's own dignity or position. As a verb, is also to be especially proud of. So it's also an experience. So it's a description, it's a state of being, it's also an experience. It can be helpful to us to unpack, even on a linguistic level, what different things mean. Because we use language every day, both to express ourselves and to shape. Not even intentionally. Yes, we do it intentionally, but unintentionally, language shapes so much of the way we see ourselves and the way we see other people. And then that, again, feeds into our intention. So pride itself, a sense of achievement is not necessarily a bad thing. But what is it rooted in? Why does it lead to toxicity? What is it about the enemies of the mind that make them enemies? So we have a spectrum of pride. If you look at any of the enemies, I often talk about the spectrum of comparison, jealousy, and envy. So we also have like a spectrum or degrees of pride. And our degree of pride, really, it depends on our level of insecurity. Because if you look at pride, why would we hang on to an enemy? Right? If you look at any of the 6 enemies of the mind, and we're focusing on pride, why would you keep envy? It causes us pain. Why would we keep anger when it causes us pain? Why would we keep fear when fear clearly causes us pain? Equally, why do we keep pride when we're hearing that it's painful? Why would we keep anything that's painful? Okay, habit. Oh, yes, we think it makes us feel it. So it gives us a sense of importance. So we think then we are important because it gives us a sense of importance. Okay, why else might we keep it? Why is it that we value the things we have, the attributes we have, the possessions we have, the position we have, to a point that we root our sense of identity in it? Why? Yes, but why?
Because we feel insecure.
Why?
It gives us satisfaction.
Why? Why? Why are we scared of change?
Because we're not detached. We are not detached.
We're not detached. Why?
We are hiding something.
We're hiding something. Okay. Yes, we probably are, lots of things, but why? Because we've forgotten who we are. It sounds so simple. You're like, hang on, but Prabhupada says that everywhere, and everybody says this in every class, we've forgotten who we are. But it is that simple. We want to make it complicated, but it is that simple. Because we have forgotten who we are, okay, we're in this state of amnesia, we clutch at external things to identify ourselves. Yes? One day I'm extrovert, next day I'm introvert, then I'm ambivert. You know, it's when people are trying to figure out their personalities, they move from pillar to post when they're insecure. When we are not sure of ourselves, we hold on to the nearest thing. If you look at any state of transition, flux, or change, one of you said we don't like change, right? Why? Because there's a level of insecurity, instability, yes? What happens if you're walking a tightrope or you're doing... Anybody ever been to Go Ape? That, like, it's like a salt course type thing? Yeah. What happens? You're doing all these different activities high up. I don't know how many feet you're high up. But when you feel like you're wobbling, what do you grab onto the nearest thing? It could be even the person who's falling down next to you. Right? And then you fall down with them. So we do this. We grab onto the nearest thing. Our life in this world, if we're really honest with ourselves, really honest, and it takes time. This is why I say it takes time to develop this vision, both on a transcendental level and on a human level. We just seeing that there is not really anything in this world that we can get a firm footing in to say, this is me. Because the minute you start feeling confident in something, whether it's a relationship, it's an attribute, it's a role, a service, a work, a salary, whatever it is that we think, okay, when I have this, I will be something, I will be someone, I will be able to take charge of my life. The minute we get it, something comes along to either threaten, to take it away, or takes it away, even our own mind. Right, we talk about adhyatmika, adhidevika, adhibhautika. Our own mind is the biggest source of our vulnerability. Because the human psychology, especially when it's in the state of being our enemy and not yet become our friend, especially, and when we're training it, it is surrendering to the false ego. Right? The mind is there to support whichever identity we take shelter of. So to the sadhaka who's now moving towards Raganuga, waking up to their actual identity, the mind becomes a bridge there to that, right? Because Raganuga Bhakti in practice, a lot of it takes place in the mind before it, manifests in the soul, or is apparent to us on that level. But before that, whilst we are in a state where the mind hasn't yet come under our control, or we are still in the stages of training the mind and making it our friend, it is serving the false ego. So when it's serving the false ego is constantly chopping and changing. Right? False means something is false when there's a lack of state of permanence, isn't it? It's illusory, it's temporary, it's transient. It's not that we're fake. It's not that our experiences are not real. Everything we're experiencing is real. It's real. It's just very fleeting. And so we tend to put an endeavor, an overemphasis into its value. And so this is where pride comes in. We hold on to pride because we think it protects us. That's the only reason we hold on to any of the 6 enemies, because we think those things are going to keep us safe, our sense of identity safe. Why do we hold on to fear? Because we all think if I catastrophize and fear things, then I'll be better prepared to deal with them. Why do we hold on to pride? Because there is a feeling that someone was saying here, we feel validated. You feel like, yes, I'm something, I'm someone. So if you look at degrees of pride, it depends on the degree of insecurity. So you look at, if we're not so insecure, we're quite secure in, for example, let's just take something simple like finances. If somebody is financially secure, they have pride. It's again, it's a layer of false pride, but it gives them confidence. Yes, you have a certain level of confidence. The things we have greatest security in, say, let's say your relationship, we can all identify there's some things in our life that we've had consistently, that hasn't been threatened so much, that even if it was taken away, there's more supply, right? It could be your family life. It could be your intellect. It could be your money. It could be so many things, your physical strength. It could be your beauty. Where we have security, we have a confidence. It's kind of like a mode of goodness, pride, we have our own quiet confidence. We don't try to hurt anybody else. Go to mode of passion, or a sense of insecurity. Maybe there's been some threat to that attribute before. We then find ourselves with our pride becoming divisive. And we see this in services, yes, within families, within work, where if we feel insecure in our sense of achievement, when we do start to achieve and we become proud, we may become divisive. That's why we can find ourselves in a situation where we have more projects than people. Yes? It's one thing to be very, very careful of, is that what's the degree of my pride and what's the degree of my insecurity? And then if you're very insecure, as in like your sense of identity in relationship to that thing or attribute is literally hanging by a hair, it's about to be taken away or it's been taken away, then it becomes very mode of ignorance. Destructive pride. Destructive pride. We have many examples of that in Shastra. And forgive me, Lord Indra, but Lord Indra is one example. His sense of position, his influence on the rains and being the supplier of people's grains because of his rains was threatened and taken away by Krishna. And he became destructive. He became destructive. He didn't just try to see how to protect his position, but he sought to destroy even the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his beloved devotees to find a way, because his pride had, got in the way. So we hold on to it. We hold on to it because we think it protects us. We hold on to it because we think it makes us secure. So really, it's really how much, which ego are we training our mind to serve? And we live in this world 24/7, and we live with our mind 24/7. So just like 24/7, every single moment there's a vulnerability to just keep seeing things on a insecure, shaky ground. It's also a 24/7 opportunity to find Krishna. This protection and security, it's false, because our pride is rooted in false things. Our confidence is rooted in false things or fleeting things or fluctuating things. So then this protection and security is also fleeting. It is also false, and it is also shaky. And that's why we are advised time and time again that we do away with it. That we do away with taking pride in those things that are temporary. We do away with basing our sense of self-worth on the temporary. Because pride is just it's a manifestation of our sense of self-worth, right? And when we don't give up pride, when we protect ourselves with our enemies, whether that's fear, lust, anger, greed, pride, envy, what does it do? It pushes people away. It pushes people away. The false pride that gives us confidence is, it's hard to just stay at that level consistently. And even then, if one is living in the mode of goodness, it can just lull you into thinking, oh, I'm fine here. Life is good. I'm peaceful. What's all this bad karma everybody talks about? I'm completely undisturbed in this very nice world while people around you are suffering. And then divisiveness, destruction, what does it do? This pride, it pushes people away, as do all of the enemies of the mind. And who does it push away the most? Krishna. Pushes away Krishna. And so it's pushing away Krishna. And as it pushes away Krishna, we don't recognize our real need to connect with him. In fact, these enemies are so illusory. They cover us so much. They don't even let us recognize our real human needs. Often pride will cover what our actual need is. Yes? And so because we don't know what we need, we then can't say what we mean. And we don't then mean what we say. I'll give you an example. Think about your relationships. How often, out of pride, have we not spoken our truth to the other person? How often have we held back? Whether that's an expression of love or a correction, how often have we held back out of pride? That pride has hidden from us what we actually want from the situation or the relationship. And so then we don't say what we mean, and we don't end up meaning what we say, right? And those conversations can leave us feeling quite empty. Those interactions can leave us feeling quite empty. So you see, pride is false pride. Pride in the temporary things will always leave us on shaky ground. You know, we look at how it keeps Krishna away. Look what happened to Indra. What pride did is so blinding. He had Krishna right in front of him, but he couldn't recognize him. See how blinding it is? Yes? We've been hearing in the Bhagavatam classes about how Krishna is in every atom and molecule. Yes? And every atom and molecule, there are, I'm not even going to attempt to count how many atoms and molecules are in this room. This room is full of Krishna. And then we have Radha Gokulnanda on the altar, Sita, Ram, Lakshmana, Hanuman. Do we recognize them? Even though they're standing right in front of us? So this is the degree to which we are covered. Same with Brahma. You know, he sees, but he doesn't see. He sees, but he doesn't recognize. So this third verse of the Shikshastakam, where Lord Chaitanya advises us to, to be in a humble state of mind, more tolerant than a tree. He's not saying have low self-esteem. He says think yourself lower than a blade of grass. What's he saying? He's saying it doesn't matter if you have millions in your bank account and 1 billion people who follow you on Instagram. Those things are as valuable as the body of a blade of grass, because ultimately it's not you. It's not going to really get you anywhere. There's no point in being proud, because if we're proud, then even when we are chanting Krishna's name, his name doesn't come alive on the tongue, because we don't recognize the name for who he is. When we say Radharani's name, when we say Hare, do we see her? Do we feel her? Do we feel her association? Do we recognize her? When we say Lord Balaram's name, we say Rama, do we feel his presence? Do we recognize him? No. Because this pride, this I've invested in who I am here as my sense of self-worth, it blinds us. So, but pride is in itself the ability to find your sense of self-worth based on qualities, based on who you're associated with, based on your attributes. It's not a bad thing. It's just who do we connect with when we do that? And what's the source? Which identity is the source? Yeah, but let's look at Nectar of Devotion. So Nectar of Devotion, in the 29th chapter, we have a section on pride. And this chapter is called Expressions of Love for Krishna. So actually, in this section, Srila Prabhupada gives different examples of both Krishna's eternal associates and also devotees here. What's that transition whilst we're here as a devotee? How does pride manifest at Shuddha Sattva, in pure goodness? What's the Vaishnav's mindset? When does a Vaishnav feel proud? And how does that pride not trap them the way that egotistical or false pride does? So I'm just going to read a short section. Expressions of ecstatic love in pride may be the result of excessive wealth, exquisite beauty, a first-class residence, or the attainment of one's ideal goal. One is also considered proud when he does not care about the neglect of others. Bilva Mangal Thakur said, "My dear Krishna, you are leaving me, forcibly getting out of my clutches, but I shall be impressed by your strength only when you can go forcibly from the core of my heart." This is an instance of feeling pride in ecstatic love for Krishna. So that pride that Bilva Mangal Thakur is feeling, it's a confidence, right? It's this invigorating confidence that Krishna loves me so much and I love Krishna so much that even if seemingly he appears to go away from me, He's not really ever going to go because I've embraced him within the core of my heart. This is pride and confidence from pride, which is not on shaky ground. Because Krishna is not on shaky ground, and our relationship with Krishna is not on shaky ground either. It never has been, and it never will be. It is simply covered. Okay, that's all it is. So we can have confidence in that. So there's this, if you want to develop a self-esteem which is unshakable, develop a faith in Krishna that's unshakable. Because then your self-esteem in this world will be unshakable. Because you will feel backed up. When we are proud, confident, yes, this pride is in gratitude. It's rooted in gratitude, isn't it? When we look at even pride in this world, when there's some healthy level where it's confidence, where it's not divisive, where it's not destructive, it's rooted in gratitude. We recognize that this is not just who I am, it's just what I have, and it's by the mercy of others. So Bilvamangal Thakur, he's waking up, he's woken up to that everything he is in relationship to Krishna. Everything important he is in relationship to Krishna. I am loved and protected by the source of all love, the personification of all love, and love itself. And so, even if that love appears to go away, if Krishna goes away, he says, I shall be impressed by your strength only when you can forcibly, you can go forcibly from the core of my heart. So this is a pride and confidence. I know you love me so much and I love you so much. You're never going to leave. You're never going to leave the core of my heart because that is under my control, how much I love you, Another section, it says, sometimes Radharani felt pride within herself and said, although the cowherd boys prepare nice flower garlands for Krishna, when I present my garland to him, he becomes struck with wonder and immediately accepts it and puts it on his heart. Now, this is not her thinking she is better than anyone. You see, it's not accompanied by the insecurity that comes with, I have to protect myself with thinking I'm better than everybody else. But this value that, gosh, Krishna, he kind of gives me special treatment. Now, I'm not anyone to have any insight into Radharani's feelings, but this, what we understand about pure love is that it's accompanied with all the other beautiful jewels of purity, such as gratitude, truthfulness, humility. And when they are in unison with attributes like pride, then pride is beautified, pride is beautiful, and pride is loving. Similarly, in the 10th canto, 2nd chapter, verse 33 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Brahma says, my dear Madhusudan, persons who are pure devotees of your Lordship actually feel your ecstatic friendship. And as such, they are never vanquished by enemies. They know they are always protected by you. And so they can matter-of-factly pass over the heads of their enemies without any care. Srila Prabhupada says, in other words, one who has taken complete shelter under the lotus feet of the Lord is always proud of being able to conquer all enemies. Now, this is not that divisiveness that we see between religions, that my religion is better than yours, so please don't mistake it for that. This is Krishna confidence. I'm backed up. I'm so grateful to be backed up. You see Krishna however you see Krishna, and you feel backed up. I'm very happy for you. I don't need to hate what you do to feel loved. Does this make sense? So this pride that comes from consistently feeling backed up. One doesn't, when I was talking about how this vision takes time to develop, that everything is spiritual, nothing is material. One doesn't have to wake up to who they are eternally to even experience that. Yes, to experience it fully, but we definitely get glimpses of it and can have sustainable experience of it simply by moving ourselves into an attitude of, okay, well, I may not know the details of this, but my eternal identity is in relationship to Krishna, as Krishna's servant. So how can I view this, whatever it is that's coming to us, as a servant of Krishna, as somebody who's backed up by Krishna? Remember, a servant has at their disposal everything that the master owns. If you go to India and you study the culture of and the relationship, the dynamic between householders or masters and their servants, servants will choose not just masters based on the attitude and how they're going to treat them, but they also choose them based on their opulence, because they know that, yes, okay, back home they have very simple living quarters. But if they're spending most of their day and most of the night in opulent surroundings, they're going to be eating well, they're going to be resting well, they're going to be looked after. And they also, a lot of them have confidence that if I'm in trouble, my master will look after me. I know so many families, they've educated their servants' families, they've paid for their children's weddings, etc. Now, their position in society of the servant might not change, but their quality of life greatly improves. So this is the power of even just aligning ourselves with this mood that, okay, I don't yet know who I am to Krishna. I don't yet know the detail of who he is to me. And I don't yet know the detail of our relationship. But I'm his servant. And so because I'm his servant, I have everything that he is and everything that he has there to protect me. They're at my disposal. You know, people talk about manifesting, right? There's loads of courses now on manifesting. It's a very, seems to be a very sophisticated and glossy way of getting what you want. It's ultimately you're using more of your subtle energy and your mental gymnastics to get what you want. But it's so basic. It's really basic, because what we get from Krishna is 1 billion times more. Krishna can fulfill desires like this. Manifesting still takes time, and it takes training. It's hard work. It's much harder work than chanting. Much harder work than chanting. The Maha Mantra contains, as Lord Chaitanya tells us, everything. And there's no even hard or fast rules. You want to manifest, you've got to get into all these different mindsets. And if you don't have the capacity to do that, you get completely lost. You have to understand your chakras. You have to do so many things. So whether you're using, it doesn't matter what system you use. I'm not trying to minimize these other systems. They are also from Krishna. But we couple them. We always understand that actually their names are ultimately that everything. And they drive everything. So in this verse, then Sarup Damodar, he is diving deeper into this transcendental pride that we've just touched on. We spoke about Radharani's pride. But in this verse, Sarup Damodar is comparing the pride of Srimati Radharani, Satyabham, and then the goddess Lakshmi. So the goddess of fortune is using her opulences against her beloved, is a type of transcendental pride. And then Satyabham's man is a particular type of transcendental pride. And then we have the pride of Radharani and the gopis, which is a different type of transcendental pride. All becoming more and more joyful because the degree of surrender is deeper and deeper at every level. So this, for us to transform and change our pride from false pride to real pride, it takes time. And I've got to finish in 10 minutes, and I do want to give everybody a chance to share or ask any questions. But I thought it may be helpful for us to just quickly look at how maybe we can transform and let go of our pride if it's something we are particularly afflicted by. So first is identity correction. And we're all in that, okay? We're all doing that. Every single person sitting in this room has started the process of correcting their identity. Yes? So we're there, but we don't want it to be passive. Yeah, the holy name is very powerful. Reading is very powerful. Association of devotees is very powerful. If you just passively practice, you will progress because it all works. But it will be slow. Really slow. Yeah? I mean, I remember one of the first things I heard about Mayapur, and Janani Vasprabhu, please correct me if I'm wrong, is that it's so merciful in Mayapur because of Gauranga and Nityananda's, willingness to not accept any offense, that even if you're asleep, you're still doing devotional service. Is that correct? Is that correct, that we're still doing devotional service? So even when we're resting. So our identity correction, we're already in that process.
Dham. Sleeping in the Dham is like paying a dandavat.
Paying dandavats. Thank you so much. Thank you. There we go. Heard it from the king of Mayapur. So yes, but we want to show Krishna that I'm trying. Yes, I'm trying. This is what he asks Arjuna, just fight for me, just try. So this identity correction, we want to apply ourselves. We want to show Krishna, I want to let go of these things, these barriers between you and me. Yesterday we had a whole session on how do I know Krishna loves me? How does Krishna know we love him? We show him by trying. So how can we make this identity correction? What are some of the ways? There's so many ways, but some of the ways that we can make this identity correction more actively engage with it. Yes, we have our 9 processes of devotional service. Our 9 processes of devotional service are more, we allow them to affect us more when we are willing to scrutinize and understand the nature of our own mind and how we see things. So, for example, when we are experiencing pride, we are essentially really, when we're proud, we are placing value on something to a degree where we identify our sense of self-worth from it to a great degree. And often we end up criticizing other people. Right? You may find yourself criticizing other projects, other people, and that often reflects an insecurity in us. And if we're not clear on what the insecurity is, it's often highlighting something that we are proud of, something we think we're better than them at. Where did we get this message from? Who on earth in our life told us that that thing was of great value and we should root our identity in it? Sometimes it's important for us to recognize, where did I pick this up from? And if I picked it up from whether it was a movie or from home life or it's something you've been carrying for many lifetimes, why did I accept it? What was I told that was so good about it that I decided to not just accept it, but also keep it for all of these years? Which parts of identity have we given so much value to and why? Was it as a result of tragedy? Was it as a result of repeated compliments? Yeah? Why? Because when we start to identify the why, we can then go, okay, well, I don't really want that. I don't want my sense of identity to be pulled from pillar to post because of how much money I have or how much beauty I have or, how many people think I'm wonderful or how many people think I'm a devotee. I want to actually become a devotee. Yeah? So understanding the nature of our own mind is a good start in terms of identity correction. What misconceptions has our mind become a slave to? When we're feeling proud, in those moments when we're feeling proud, recognize how intense the pride is. Because of the degree of intensity of pride, to that degree we're insecure about whatever it is protecting in us. Yes? Gives us an important message about our level of investment in something. Another simple one is, if we recognize ourselves making a decision or choice out of pride, don't act on it, not in the state of pride. You may have made a good choice, but if we act on it out of pride, the outcomes will be different. So temper the attitude. Try and remove the pride, come from a humble position, give Krishna the credit, give the real people who've helped you to get to that point credit. We come from a place of gratitude, we offer it to Krishna, it becomes a transcendental outcome then, rather than a karmic outcome. And just one last one I want to leave you with is transform that pride. How can we transform that pride? We're often proud of, like I was saying, the insecurities. We have insecurities where we think we don't have abundance, where we don't have enough. We have to ask ourselves every day, all those things that I don't have enough of, that I hanker to get, I invest so much time and energy, make so many plans into getting, whether it's physiological, psychological, or societal. Isn't it true that Krishna can actually give it to me in a moment? Isn't it true that actually in my real sense of self, I have no shortcomings in that area? We have to remind ourselves, remind, okay? And the mind is there again, okay? I'm going to leave you with one last thing from Srila Prabhupada. And I think I shared this a few classes ago, but it is just so beautiful and so profound. It helps us to find Krishna everywhere. You know, we were talking about this yesterday. You know that book, Where's Wally? And there's also a version called Where's Hanuman? So it's hard to play in the beginning, spotting them in the pages amongst all the busyness, because everything kind of looks the same. But what is it that makes us go from being clunky at the game to becoming expert? I remember when I used to play it with my daughter. We had that Where's Hanuman book. When we first got it, both of us would take time to find Hanuman and Sugriv and all the other personalities. But by page 10, we were pros. Oh, there he is, there he is, there he is. Why? Practice, right? With practice, you start to see the small details. So this is what happens when we practice looking for Krishna everywhere, every day, in everything. We start to become expert. And you know what's even easier? Is that when we take one step towards Krishna, he takes 100 towards us. So he helps us. You know, in this game I'm talking about, the page doesn't help you. But in spiritual life, Krishna's always there to help us. So we'll just leave you with this one little quote from Srila Prabhupada. Where is my photos? There it is. Yeah. I think this will help you because this is really, it's just so nice. I have shared it before, but it's just beautiful. Srila Prabhupada says, to see God everywhere and in every living entity is not the final word in self-realization. It's not the final word. One needs to see him in all events, in every activity, in every thought, influencing everyone's lives, including one's own. Two things are indispensable for acquiring such a vision. First, we must offer the results of all our activities to Lord Krishna. And second, every action we perform must be done exclusively as devotional service to him. We must constantly meditate on the fact that Lord Krishna is the only enjoyer and proprietor of every action. And you know, the more we remember that, the more we will experience that Krishna being the only enjoyer and proprietor of every action brings our heart the greatest joy and brings our lives the greatest opulence. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Hare Krishna. So, over to you. Am I allowed a couple of minutes of questions? Is that okay? Thank you. Questions or comments, anything? Actually, Janani, first of all, would you like to say anything?
No.
No pressure. No? Okay. So, any questions?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for such a nice class on a very relevant topic for everyone. I was just wondering if you could elaborate on the process of feedback and taking trusted criticism, and knowing what is a decent authority to receive that feedback and criticism from as well.
That's a very good question. Try and see feedback as it's quite a practical process. We make it emotional because we get emotional when we take it personally, but it's actually a practical process. If you want to improve at anything, you go to someone who's expert in that thing. I remember one very senior guru in our movement who gives wonderful classes. He was sharing in one class that someone came and gave him feedback, and he didn't pay too much attention to it because that person never gives class. And then someone else gave him feedback. And he said, well, I will accept your feedback because you are also a teacher. So one thing we can do is you know, we have this attitude that if someone's senior to me, that their feedback is always going to be valid. Now, if we're very surrendered, everybody's feedback is valid because Krishna can work through anyone. But we also have to recognize where we're at. So realistically, if we want to optimize our receptivity, whatever it is we're trying to get feedback from, you don't just go to somebody who is senior, more evolved in that area, but actually specifically in that particular area has expertise or insight into you or into that skill or whatever it is you're trying to understand about yourself. So just like there's feedback that your family will give you that other people don't have insight into because they see a side of you that others haven't seen, right? Equally, in your particular profession, we have our different appraisals. I wouldn't do my appraisal with somebody who's not in my profession because they wouldn't have a clue how to assess me. So similarly, in our devotional life, we have different facets to our devotional life. So we can then willingly, open-heartedly go and get feedback from those we trust by their skill, but also by their character. It's okay? Hare Krishna. It's behind you.
Thank you for the class. My question has to do with the quote from Prabhupada that you mentioned at the end. So 2 weeks ago, I sort of tried implementing this. So like on a theoretical level, I understand that, okay, my identity has to be as servant of Krishna. And even though it's not like realized and I have not internalized it, but like at least I theoretically trust people who are saying it. So I tried offering results to Krishna and like spending the entire day doing that. The day went really well, but towards the end, I just got exhausted and tired. And then after that, from the next day onwards, I just stopped thinking about it because it was very tiring and cumbersome.
Right. If I was a personal trainer and you said to me, I want to get fit, would I say, right, go to the gym for 24 hours? You'd never do that. You wouldn't. What would you do? You would build up. Yes? So that's what I was saying. It takes time to develop this vision. Better to be consistent, do something every single day, than to do it all in one go and then go, okay, I'm just worn out, I can't do this anymore. Every muscle in my body is weak. Okay, there is a humility to recognizing when we can't do something or aren't there yet. And that humility is empowering. It's not low self-esteem. It's a recognition that I can't do this. So if I can't do this, what is my first next best step? What's the first thing I've got to do? You take the gym example. The first things for someone might be just even get gym membership. Okay? The next thing might be, I'm going to spend 5 minutes. I'm just going to learn how to do a warm-up. Right? When we have humility to recognize where am I at now, then the steps to our very, exalted place that we want to get to become much more clear. Right? What does humility allow us to do? It allows us to see where we are now. When we look to the forefront, right in front of us, we can see the immediate stepping stones. And then as our feet become steady, we can look up. If you're crossing a river with stepping stones, you watch how you do it. We have an intuitive ability, okay, it's within us, to focus on the here and now, but also have foresight. Yes? So what Srila Prabhupada is saying to us is, this is what we aspire for. But he's saying we must learn to, right? He uses that phrase, we must learn to see. So learning is step by step. So rather than spending that, wonderful you tried it for a whole day, but give yourself some time every day. Like when you walk into a room, if you find your mind just idly thinking about something so random, my mind thinks about so many rubbish things, let's not think about that. Where can I see Krishna in this room? Or you find your mind overwhelmed with distress. Instead of thinking about the distress, in this distress, where can I see Krishna? How can I see Krishna's hand? And in the beginning, you might only think of him once a day, or once a week, or twice a week. But you keep doing it, and you keep doing it, and you keep doing it. It will go from moments to minutes to hours to days, weeks, months, and then it will be uninterrupted and unalloyed. Yes? And I have to stop. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Please don't go away. We are giving out certificates. Would you like the mic? Oh, can we give the remote mic, please? Okay.
So I'll just say a few words.
Sure. They don't get both autographs?
She's not here.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Just a few minutes and then you can go for your breakfast. Thank you so much for staying behind. We have the graduation ceremony for the ladies' ashram 3-month-long residential course. And so we will be giving our certificates for those that have successfully completed it. May I please request all of you to please bless each of these wonderful Vaishnavis that come up. Please bless them that they can nicely progress on their spiritual journeys. And so first up, we will have Atma Vidya. Please, Atma Vidya, come up. Atma Vidya has been an absolute delight. Her positivity, her beautiful smile has been very good. There you go. She's been absorbed in every moment and immersed herself wonderfully in the experience. Thank you so much, Atma Vidya. Well done. Next up, we have Ansali. Ansali is one of our deep and introspective thinkers. She's progressing really nicely. She started off with us in Be a Monk Challenge and nicely progressing now. Thank you so much. Good luck. Thank you. Well done. Next, we have Circe. Circe loves philosophy. She has a real thirst for philosophy and learning and practicing. An absolutely amazing routine and dedication. Thank you so much. Well done. And finally, we have Esther. Esther has the most sweetest service mood. She carries out all service with a smile and a humility. So thank you so much, and well done for completing. Thank you. As I said, please bless all these 4 lovely Vaishnavis, that may they grow and connect to Krishna more and more. Thank you. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Okay, please make your way to breakfast. Hare Krishna.
Hi, bro, you okay? Yeah. I forgot your number, by the way. It's okay. You can get it. You don't leave me. Somebody else can.